I need a ticket to Far Creek, Arkansas. The lady at the bus station squinted at me. Far Creek? I'm not familiar with that one. It's in the middle of the state, I believe. The website for the Greyhound line says it's small, but it's still open. The lady did some clicking, the guy behind me sighing a little too dramatically as she looked for the right spot. Cashmere has a Greyhound station, though I'm not sure why. I don't remember having ever seen a bus roll out of it, but I suppose they must if the place is open. Other than me, there were only a couple of people in the terminal, and they both had that out-of-town look about them. It's hard to explain, but it's usually pretty easy to tell when an outsider comes in somehow. Randy told me that it's rare to see someone new here, and the more I think about it, the more I realize how right he is. Ah, there it is. Yeah, it appears to be open. It's a 9-hour trip with 4 stops, and a ticket will run you $85.60. I handed her a $100 bill, and she handed me change. It had been one of the last hundreds that we had in the cash box, and Tobias had been loath to hand it over. I'd had to argue pretty hard to get him to hand it over, but eventually the need had won out. It should arrive in about 25 minutes. It's a layover, so you should have lots of company. I took a seat on one of the hard plastic chairs by the window so I could watch the terminal. The impatient guy in the cargo shorts and the Hawaiian shirt moved into the place I had evacuated and began complaining about how the bus had put him off here when he was trying to get to Houston. I heard him shouting that this wasn't even the right state, and he wasn't sure why the bus had put him off here, and the woman offered to get him on the same bus I was supposed to board. "Sacrifice," said a hollow voice, but I pushed it down. The thing had been chatty since I'd slipped it into my breast pocket, and I didn't like it. "You should be able to get off in Louisiana and catch a connecting bus to Houston, sir. Hand the bus driver this ticket when he gets here, and he should let you board the bus." The man grumbled his way to the chair near mine, and I popped in a headphone and listened to some music as I waited. Tobias had tried to talk me out of it again, but I wouldn't be dissuaded. "I have to go, Tobias. Someone has to find Randy and get this to him, and if he's stuck there a couple of days, then this is my chance." "Okay, for starters, we don't even know how old that letter is. Randy could have sent that a week ago. He could have sent it yesterday. We don't know if he's still there or not." I was prepared for that. Look at the post date. The letter was sent 2 days ago. Some mailman clearly needs a raise because he didn't waste any time getting this to us. If Randy is stuck in that town because of torrential rains that I know are still going on because I checked the news, then if I can get there within a day, I can pick up his tracks and get him this totem. And what are we going to do in the meantime? You told me that you broke up 2 different plans by our own people that could have easily caused trouble for the garden. Plans that, I might add, I would have seen no problem with. In my time, I regularly sold alcohol that I had made in my own still, as well as plants I had grown. You and Randy are newer than we are. You know the world better than we do. We need you here to help us navigate the pitfalls. I tried to keep the frustration out of my voice, but we were wasting time. Just stop them from doing anything stupid for the next day or 2. I should be back by the end of the week, Monday morning at the latest. As long as they don't burn the park down, or, I don't know, try to create some kind of virus or something, then we should be fine. I talked to August and Hemlock and made them agree that they wouldn't grow anything on a long list of plants that I had handed them. I suggested that they grow coffee beans for a new kind of coffee instead, and suggested maybe some tea as well so that the park could have its own line to sell. Speaking with Tina and Maria, I suggested that maybe they could make kombucha or maybe root beer or something if they were looking to sell homemade products. Both groups looked at me as if I were splitting hairs, but they agreed to begin their operation and see how it went. That would keep them out of trouble for at least a couple of days, and a couple of days was really all I needed. If the projects actually go anywhere, then we should be able to begin production on a line of beverages for the park, something that we could sell legally. I just need you to keep an eye on the place for a week, tops. I'll be back by then. Tobias looked dubious. Will you, Sam? Because I'm not so sure. What? Do you think I'm just going to abandon the park? I've been loyal, Tobias. I've done my part. I think I've earned a little trust. It's not that at all, Tobias said, and he sounded a little hurt. I don't doubt your loyalty in the least bit. What I doubt is your ability to just hand that ugly rock over to Randy and then scamper back here as we agreed upon. Are you going to tell me that once you're that close to finding the lady, you'll be capable of returning without a backwards glance? I wanted to deny his claims, but he was right. I'm not chastising you for wanting that, Tobias added. If I were that close to her and knew that she was near, I don't think I could come back either. I don't fault you for it. But if Randy and the other Brandylow go and get themselves killed, then who's going to be here to start the next expedition? Or the one after that? I'm no adventurer, Sam. I'm not a warrior. I'm just an alchemist who's out of his depth. If you go and get yourself killed, then there'll be no one to go looking for her. Then we really will be lost. I couldn't argue that with him. Tobias was right. If I left, then it would be a scattering of silly hearts and dreamers. There wasn't a real warrior amongst the Brandylow we had left. Hell, I wasn't a real warrior. I was just a night security guard who was completely out of his element and trying his best to keep his head above water until this was done. Trust me, Tobias, I'll get this thing to Randy, and if I can help him, I will, but if there is breath still in my body, I will return to this place, with or without her. I'll come back. Tobias looked unsure for a moment, but finally extended a hand. Do you swear? I gave you my word, Tobias. What else do you want? No. I mean, do you swear? Do you make a sacred oath upon the lady that you will come back? I looked down at his hand, not quite sure that I wanted to shake it, but after some contemplation, I took it, and it felt like static electricity moved between our fingers. This felt a little different. This felt like more than a promise. I could almost feel an extension of Tobias's power as it moved from him to me, and I realized that breaking this would be a really bad idea. I swear, I said, and that feeling of electricity between my fingers came again. He had given me the last $100 they had in the cash box, saying that it was just the biggest bill they had. Then he sent me on my way. I wasn't sure I believed they had more cash in that cash box, but I wasn't going to argue with him. We had gone 4 months without any kind of activity in the park, and our cash reserves were getting very low. I knew that if she didn't come back in time for spring, the lady might not have a park to come back to, and it formed my resolve into something stronger. Sir? I looked up, the attendant's voice barely audible over the sound of Five-Finger Death Punch. Your bus is here. I looked out the window, and sure enough, it had snuck up on me while I was lost in thought. The guy who was going to Texas was nowhere to be seen. He must have decided to take in the sights, which wasn't too out of the ordinary. Cashmere had a way of grabbing people, whether they wanted to be or not, and I was sure that he would make a fine addition to the town. I handed her my ticket and headed for the terminal, passing a few people as they got off the bus and looked around in confusion. Another snack for Cashmere, I suppose. The bus wasn't full, but it was crowded. I took a seat near the back and got comfy. It was going to be a long ride, and I wanted to save my strength for when I got there. GPS instructions had told me that I had another hour's drive after I got to Farcreef, and I hoped that I could catch a cab or something. They probably wouldn't rent me a car for less than $20, if there was even a place to rent one, so I was either walking or hitching. As the last of the passengers got on the bus pulled out after announcing it was on its way to South Carolina and Arkansas. I got comfortable, glad there was no one sitting next to me to nudge me the whole trip, and played a little on my phone. I had a portable battery in my backpack, a holdover from my past life, but it was only likely to last a few hours. I don't know when. It was after our second bathroom trip and after my 70th game of Tetris, but it did something I hadn't done in a while. I sat there, stacking blocks and staring at the trees as they went past, and fell asleep. I opened my eyes in a dark cave. The dripping of stalagmites was a constant background reminder that I wasn't on the bus anymore. As I tried to make sense of it, I heard a new sound join the plink of water. The rattle of chains in this place sounded like the clatter of old bones in this hollow crypt, and as I looked for the source, I saw her. She was chained to one of the stalagmites, her body bowed with the effort of staying upright. She did not appear to be injured, but she did appear exhausted. She had very little left, and as spring approached, she knew that she wouldn't see the return of her power. She would be sealed away again, simple as that, and the next time she saw the sun, it would be a different time and place. "Help me," she begged, looking right at me. "Help me. Don't let them put me in the dark again." I woke up with a start as the bus came to a stop. I'd been asleep for 6 hours. At least, that's what my phone said. I'd plugged it into the portable battery, but the battery was nearly dead now. The phone would last for a while, but Randy didn't have a phone that I could use to call him. Randy had abandoned most of the human trappings when he'd become a brandylow, but the phone was such a huge part of me that I couldn't bear to get rid of it. How would I update you guys if I did, after all? The bus was taking on new passengers, and as I thought about getting off to stretch my legs, I heard something terrible. Someone was whistling, but it wasn't a normal sort of whistling. The tone was too loud. The sound was discordant, and I realized too late that I'd heard it before. It was the sound that had hit us on New Year's, the sound that had interrupted our concentration, had interrupted our connection to the lady. The nightmares had been bad, but the disconnect had been worse. He came onto the bus, an old tramp in a long coat and a hood, and his whistling filled it and caused a ripple to run through the patrons. Mothers looked at their children's noisy electronics with a little less patience. Friends stopped joking and became sullen, and even the bus driver seemed grumpier as he closed the door and got us underway. The man looked around, pretending to contemplate, before his eyes settled on me, and he came to join me, taking the seat beside me. We sat there without speaking for a moment, his whistling starting to grate on me, and when I finally asked him to stop and say what he had to say, I was surprised when he obliged. "What do you want?" I asked him, the bus rumbling beneath me, and some of the tension eased. "Welcome, emissary. Welcome to the Green Man's land." He spoke it with just the slightest hint of sarcasm, like a tour guide giving a lecture of a place that he has long ago stopped believing in. "Is that what you came for? To welcome me?" "Yes, and no," he said. His eyes were pointed towards the front, but I could see his smile. This one was a hyena. He liked to nip and bite at his prey before finishing them off, and he probably started with the soft parts. I had to remind myself that this was one of the Green Man's 3 generals, maybe even the worst of them. "Speak sense or go away. I've got a long trip ahead of me, and I don't wish to make it with you." The Raggedy Man snorted, "As if such decisions are yours alone to make. Is it not the friends we make along the way, after all, that are so important? We are not friends, I told him, keeping my own eyes pointed front. I didn't want to study him. I did not want to see what lay below that hood of darkness. Down there lay madness, and I was crazy enough as it was. Oh, but we could be. The Green Man could be your friend. Brandylow have been his friends before, and they could be again. The Green Man makes so many friends, and all he asks is a little show of that friendship. He asks only for a boon, and then he'll take you into his service and thank you for your effort. Let me guess, he wants my undying love and companionship, I joked, already knowing the answer. When the Whistler touched the totem that sat in my breast pocket, I shuddered like he'd slapped me with a cold wind. No, he has no need for love or companions. What he wants is his power back. What he wants is this.
You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.